The intention with TallyFlex is to make the data collection for you easy. It's just tapping. You don't have to like have the extra effort of knowing where the sheet is, transferring and printing before the meeting. None of that. It's just there. Once you record the data, it shouldn't be any time between the person collecting the data and analyzing the data. Not only that, with paper, a lot of context get lost. Maybe you wrote down at the end the totals of the things that you saw, but you don't have any context of when each thing happened. Every single thing that happened is recorded at the moment that you press a tab. That allows you to identify patterns and see when if something happens more in the morning or in the afternoon, or during a transition to a different location, and things like that. So I'm going to make it look like an iPad, and you can start a new session. You can specify the setting of where you're working in, and you can customize each of the behaviors that you're tracking or skills to a particular setting. So maybe something you were only collecting in this place, you set it, you configure it that way, and others for another location, so that when you are starting a session, if you specify a setting, you only see those that apply to that location. And once I start a session, everything is clear to understand and see. You don't have to be looking around, and it's just immediate with big tiles and big text to make it easy to identify. As we were mentioning, frequency is the simplest one. It's just tapping, but duration, which is it takes more effort, is also just tapping. So whenever you see the behavior starts, you tap it. You have clear indication whenever you have a duration running, because that is one thing that if you're using a manual tool, things might escalate and you might forget that you have this thing running, but TallyFlex make it easier to identify any of those. It also have the capability of all the recording methods. You can do frequency, duration, percent correct, with and without from levels. And you can do task analysis, momentary time sampling, partial and whole interval. Whatever fits the data that you are trying to collect, you can do it here. And because it is easy to use it as a BCBA when you are creating the program, many times you have to think of the person collecting the data, and they are human. They can only collect so much. But if you give them a tool that is easy to use, you can not only go collect better data, but higher quality. And they feel also empowered to do it because they don't have to be struggling with the tools that they're using. Things can happen at any time during the observation period, right? And remembering that at the end to collect the data, it loses a lot of context and information, and it's cognitive load on the person running the session to then spend hours probably trying to come up with all of the information to put in some notes. TallyFlex allows you to take notes during the session. So maybe something quick can help you remember at the end that, oh yeah, this happened at this time. So you can expand on it. And now you can collect notes easily here. And you can see all of the notes that you have collected so far in the session. You can close it, and you also have a quick access here. Sometimes you want to give the client some time that has nothing to do with whatever you are running in the session. And you want to give them a visual idea of, hey, let's take a break, 5 minutes, or we're going to do this for some time. And for that, you can use a simple visual timer that has like a progress, and you can make it like full screen. So while they are doing their thing, they know how much is left. This one is a momentary time sampling. When you're going to start observing that behavior, or you tap it once and it creates all the intervals that you define ahead of time. Let's say that you set it that you're going to observe 10 intervals, and they are of, 30 seconds. When you're going to start observing, you tap it once, and then all the intervals get laid out for you. And every time that the interval stops, you get a prompt, did it happen or not? If you weren't looking, it automatically defaults to that it didn't occur, because if you weren't looking, you don't know if it occurred or not. It defaults to no. But even if it is automatically marked for you as no, you have control at the end to modify and adjust everything that you collected during the session, which is also very important. Once you're done with the session, you can just stop it. and you get all the details. So here is the note that I took, and you can expand on it. And this is one of the biggest things that I love about TallyFlex is that you get a visual representation of when everything happened. So you can dig into anything. And you, in this case, for example, we can see that around this time, there were many things happening. This is just one example, but it gives you an idea of how powerful this is. And you get all the details for all the events there. For example, duration, which we were just talking about, and you get each one, how long, each occurrence, how long it lasted. So you get not only the totals, but you also get the details of each of those occurrences, which might be important. Because, for example, duration, maybe the whole duration that you recorded during a session was 10 minutes, but it's not the same 1 minute every so often across the session, that 9 minutes one occurrence and 1 minute the other. So what happened with that 9-minute occurrence, what was going on at that time? So all that context, you don't have it when you are recording with paper. When you are using this, you can make more informed decisions to help the client the most. And as I was mentioning, everything can be adjusted at the end. Let's say that it was 3 occurrences of living as an area, and you can adjust it and it automatically calculate the rate for you. In the case of automatic marking, when the interval ends, here you get the intervals that you recorded, and if one of them was automatically checked, you know it here. So you can see, oh, this was automatically, but I know that at that time it actually happened. I just couldn't tab it. So you can come here and adjust it. Or maybe interval 2, it didn't really happen. I just tapped just by accident. You have control over that. In the list of sessions, when you go to the client, let's say you go to your client, it is Mia, and here at a glance, you have immediately a view of the top 5 behaviors or skills that has had the most significant change in the last 14 days. So immediately you can see there is a spike in one behavior, or there is a drop, a sudden drop. Anything that moves out of the ordinary, you can see here. And from there, you can dig into that behavior or skill and see what happened. In this case, for example, a spontaneous request increased. The last day that it was recorded was 31, and it was an increase of 86% week over week. So what did it happen? In this case, this is a positive thing, but it could be also for a negative. You can see here that some lines are red and some are greens, regardless of where they're going up or down. And that is because of what the color represents is whether the behavior or skill is moving in the direction that you want to. So let's dig into one of these. You not only get all the data or the graphs, everything is incredibly fast. You can view the graph by session, daily, weekly, monthly. You can even compare to others if you want to get an idea of maybe if there is any correlation with other behavior. But if you want, this is completely optional, but it gives you a lot of power as a BCBA. So if you define the targets, the goals that you want for a particular behavior or a skill, TallyFlex can automatically calculate that for you after every session. And what is going to happen is that you're going to see these current objectives here. So the current objective is that at least 6 occurrences, you're going to see at least 6 occurrences for 3 consecutive days. And because it has been met for all these days, it tells you that the criteria is met, and you can review the mastery and say, oh, yeah, I agree, this skill is already mastered, so let's confirm it, and it's going to move to the next one. You also have the full list of all the data points that are shown here, all the sessions, and you can jump into it and see the details. But you don't have to be wasting time digging around. You have immediate access to everything. Another thing I didn't show during the data collection is task analysis, percent correct with prompts. For those, you get not only the graphs, but you also get even more details. So for example, task analysis for hand washing, it has all these steps. You not only get the graph of level of independence, but you also have a distribution of the level of support that was needed for each step. Sometimes you can see the level of independence is 80%. But it's being at 80% for however long. Why? So maybe you can see, oh, maybe the step of rinse hands is stuck. It's having trouble with that. Okay, let's work on that. And then you can also see, hopefully, that the graph is progressing from less green to more green as the client is making progress. And this is another way of representing that with a different graph. Essentially, it's a distribution which you hopefully want to see going green. If you are looking at the sessions, you have the full list. If you want to see the data for each of those, you can just toggle it here, and it gives you a quick overview. For ABC, if you use with your team, it is similar. So you have the calendar, and that way you don't have to be looking around for across many days. You know when each one was recorded. And again, you can see the full month listed here, or you can see weekly. Inviting the staff is just typing their email and setting the role that they're going to have in a team. The therapists will be those that can collect data. Supervisors can modify programs. And administrator will have access to pretty much everything across the team, including adding new clients, inviting new staff. Once you invite a staff, they get an email and the account gets created right away. And all they have to do is their password and they're in. Now, there are two levels of permission here. Just by being a member of the team doesn't give you access to all the clients. In this case, because Tom is a therapist, all that he can do is be a viewer or a tracker on the clients. The viewer will be just view the data, and a tracker will be those that can collect data. If it is a supervisor, a role on the team is supervisor, then you can also make them an editor, which will be like other BCBAs who can modify the programs. If you are going to transfer a case to another lead supervisor, you can just specify any other who has a role of an admin or supervisor of hire in the team. The settings for the clients that I mentioned when you were collecting the data, you can specify those here. You have a set of defaults, but you can also customize and add or remove or edit any of that. And when you are actually configuring one behavior, you can see edit, the skill, you have the availability, and you can say that this behavior is only available for, let's say, home. Or you can create reports for PDF, Excel, and CSV. You get a PDF with all the behaviors and skills that you selected and the graphs and everything for the time range that you specify. Just a couple of seconds. Here is what you're going to get. All the behaviors and skills we have, because I selected the statistics, you're going to see the median, the average, the trend lines. It's going to tell you whether there is high variability. All the details, you have it on these PDFs. That is also helpful for when you're going to show it to a family member or maybe on a meeting. So maybe you just export this and you have a clear evidence or a simple way to explain what is going on without confusing everyone going around the app. On the same note, you can export the Excel or CSV, save it whatever you want, just as a backup, and that's it. But all the data is here. It will be there for at least 7 years because of HIPAA compliance, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Regarding importing of the data, you have two options. So you can do it manually. Let's say that you have one behavior that you have however many days that you want to enter. You can come to the actual behavior and tap on the menu, add data. Here you can say who wants to collect the data, enter the value for all the dates that you specify on the observation window from this time to this time. On this day, I observed this many. Then you save it, and all of that is part of the client record. And all of that is going to show in the graph. Not everyone transitions from paper to digital or to an app at the same speed. Some people need some time. For that, you have this option called record observation. And what that is going to do is similar to a session. You're going to see all the programs and skills, and you can specify from the time of the observation, from this time to this time, and enter the specific value for all those. And that is similar to a session, but it was manual. You won't have the context of when everything happened, but you have a way of, at the end of the day, you collected it by paper, you enter here, and you have one repro system. You also have templates you can create for your team, or you can pick from a list of over 100 that are defined here, but you can also from any client that you have. They said that I'm watching is pretty much the same for everyone. And you can clone it to another client, save it as a template, or duplicate in the same client. And you can do that for any of them. So that saves you the time of typing again the same information for other clients. We have full documentation on the site of pretty much everything. Pretty much everything that is in the app is in here with full details. It's simple. And the pages are like this big, to the point, so that anyone is have a question, just put it here and they're done with it. Everything is supposed to make it easy. So the purpose is that you can focus on what you do best, working with the client, helping them, and let the technology stay out of the way.